This episode of Hodinkee Radio is brought to you by Lucid Motors, pioneers in luxury electric vehicles. Experience the fusion of high-end technology and sustainability with Lucid. Dive into the world of EVs and design with us, recorded live from the Lucid studio here in Geneva. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live from Lucid Studios here in Geneva for one last podcast from Watches and Wonders. Thanks for listening to us all week long. I've got a cast of 7 characters I'm going to run down. It is 7, right?
It's
6. No, it's 7.
I'm counting myself.
Including himself.
Okay, 7 people. I'm just going to run
for the record.
I'm going to run down the list just real quickly here. Next to me, of course, Malika Crawford, Benjamin Clymer, Danny Milton, James Stacy, Mark Kauslerich, and our senior video producer, Jonathan McWhorter, first time on the podcast. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get some first-timer perspective, I think, from you in the show, but thank you for joining us. Guys, it's the last day, so this is a real summary show before we all catch flights tomorrow. We're going to keep it quick and snappy, 30 minutes, but we're just going to run through a few things. We're going to talk about favorite watches under $10,000, biggest surprises, spiciest takes from the show. Ben, we got to start with you. Best thing you saw all week.
It might be like a recency bias because I just saw it, but the Bulgari Ultra Slim thing is incredible.
That's a technical name for it, too.
Yeah. I'm a professional. I know you guys already talked about it, but it is really, it's a joke. I mean, it's like mind-blowing. The box?
It's crazy.
Sean's giving me a nod. The box sets the watch for you, and it knows where you are, like by time zone. It winds the watch for you. There's some lights going on the outside. Nobody's really mentioned the box.
Urwerk did that with their like atomic clock box thing, and it was like, now it's not just like something that looks like a bomb, apparently.
Right.
That's really cool.
This is a functional box, and also, I mean, look, I gotta say, the price for what it is not bad. I think it's about 550,000 euros. The Bulgari was probably my highlight of the week.
I have one question for, I don't know, everyone. Probably for Danny, because I know you like that Bulgari as well, actually. Malika and I went to Piaget today. We saw the world's thinnest tourbillon, 2 millimeters. More impressed by the thinnest tourbillon in the world or the thinnest watch in the world?
I think I'm still more impressed by the thinnest watch in the world, but also I didn't see the Altiplano. I only saw the Bulgari Octo Finissimo Ultra, so I can't really say, but the Piaget is quite beautiful. But it's still, 0.3 millimeters thicker than the
I'm not even sure the human eye can perceive 0.3 millimeters.
I don't think so.
I think we talked about this earlier. I think we got to get them both in one room.
I actually think that the design language of the Bulgari is just a bit cooler.
No, for sure. And it's cool that the thinnest watch in the world is a Finissimo again instead of something different. Yeah,
Listen,
exactly.
I have not seen that in person.
The Richard Mille?
Yeah. Have you?
I have seen the RM. That's like a $2 million watch. So when you consider that, this is a fourth the price. I think the
value.
The Bulgari is better looking than the RM, in my opinion. Anyway,
I want to get one more best of the week before we go to best under $10,000. James, best thing you saw all week?
Yeah, I mean, the Ultra's definitely high on that list. As I considered, I got a chance very briefly yesterday to swing by Longa and see another impressive price tag for a watch with the Lumen Honeygold Datograph Perpetual Tourbillon. And the first thing that kind of hit me was like it was on the CEO's wrist, and it just fit so nicely. Like sometimes you see these watches that have a ton of complications. They make a bunch of compromises for the thickness, maybe the case size, maybe brands that normally stick to a certain size. Suddenly they're fine going 4, 5, 6 millimeters bigger to make it work out. And you just see the Longa and you're like, oh, you guys are just like putting it all in one place. It was really cool.
You know, Watches and Wonders seems to really be a time to release these $500,000 mega watches, which is why I wanted to bring another category to this podcast, which is our favorite watch that we saw under $10,000. Any number of brands you could choose from, Danny, Tudor, Oris. I know you guys went off-site a little bit today to see some other things at some of these other shows. Danny, anything under $10,000 stick out to you?
I mean, a few things for sure. James and I saw some of the stuff that Nevada Gresham was doing. I think, Ben, you saw some of that as well. There's some really cool stuff happening there with the F77. Very cool watch. It's, very Royal Oak inspired 70s integrated bracelet design, which is way under $10,000. But I think if I had to pick my favorite from the show is a watch I've talked about, I think on 3 of the episodes of the pod, is still that Zenith Defy Revival dive watch that Malika loves.
Danny, how big is the case?
Lol.
Sorry, Mark?
How big is the case?
The 37 millimeters.
Okay, thank you.
37 millimeters. I still think it's a great. It's a little. The price is a bit punchy for the watch. It's like 7 or 8K, which I think it's a lot. To be honest with you, in the set of the price category or in the category, but I think by the rules of your question, still my favorite thing I saw under 10K.
Not a fan of that watch, Malika?
Not convinced.
Mark, favorite thing you saw under $10,000?
I stopped by Nomos this afternoon. They have, what is it, 31 favorite things?
31 of their watches you saw?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I picked up and actually did a wrist shot with the Chili, which I was explained was what you would want to wear if you were feeling like a hot girl or a hot guy. Now imagine that in a German accent, and that's how the watch was presented to me.
Hang on. Wait.
Hey, repeat that story.
I need you to just break it down. Can you unpack that?
No, I just they were explaining like the different moods that you could match with all of their different watches, which are all very colorful. Some of them are mixes of color that you wouldn't normally expect to have together. But this Chili watch is very bold, very bright, like pinks and different hues of pinks. And when we were presented the watch, they were like, "This is if you're feeling like you're a hot girl or a hot guy, and you wanted to feel hot." I was like, I like that vibe. I actually like that vibe. The Miami sort of
I'm
vibe.
not going to get into the details of it.
I no, I mean, I think like that's actually a callback to a set of watches that they did early in their history, where they did a set of 30 watches, and I wrote about it in a previous story. But I think it's fun that they just decided to release so many different watches for so many different people, and it Nomos sold out of 10 sets of these watches online in their online shop. I don't know if we have any left, but it sounds like everybody's loving it, and I was really loving all the options too.
Yeah, saw a number of other cool things in the affordable category. Raymond Weil, Ferland Mari, etc. A lot of cool things coming. I think that it's a really vibrant category. More designs. It's not just dive watches anymore in that category. So really exciting to see some of the stuff that brands are working on. But moving on from the budget category, guys. Jonathan, since you're our first timer on the panel here today, I want to ask you the next question. The biggest surprise for you at your first Watches and Wonders. It could be a larger takeaway or product specific, but I want to get your perspective.
My biggest surprise is also kind of a spicy take in that Rolex didn't really impress me like I thought they would. They've got a big hunk of gold and a icy blue platinum watch, but I don't know. There wasn't really anything there that had my heart racing.
Anyone want to say anything else? about
Nothing.
Rolex?
Okay.
I'll back that up by saying, like, I think a lot of us had heard from different brands going in that this was going to be like a quieter year for some of the big brands. Like, this wasn't necessarily a surprise. I think there was a surprise in the Rolex thing for me, which is one stainless steel model for the year from Rolex, which is just like kind of unheard of for them. So that definitely was surprising that everybody kind of dialed it back for a little bit. I have heard from those same people that next year is hopefully going to be pretty crazy for almost all the brands. So I will say, like, things like Nomos come out more, like they pop out more when the bigger brands kind of take a step back for the year and let everybody else have their moment.
Ben, you're a veteran of these trade shows. I want to see if anything surprised you this year, and you could say no if you want, and we could just move on.
Mini tank.
Surprised you that it exists or that you liked it?
Both.
Okay.
Did we already talk about it?
No. We talked about it a little bit.
Did we?
You weren't on the show, Ben. You were doing other things.
Does it even count?
Whoa!
We don't actually publish the episodes Ben's not on.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
They're just so we can have a good time.
It's for you. Yeah.
Good time with a microphone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's for you. No, the mini tank. A, that they made it, and B, that I liked it as much as I did.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Ben, can I stay with you for just a second? Spiciest take?
I don't really have one. I mean, it was, and that's not a cop out. Like, it was just such a blasé year. And maybe that's the take, that like nobody really did anything. If somebody, usually there's a watch that I order or express interest in from the show. There was one this year. I've already mentioned it, but like nothing that I really am gonna like save up for or dying to get, like there was in years past. After last year's, I can tell you, I asked for the Platinum Daytona, the new one. I changed that request quickly when the Le Mans came out and got that instead. The year before that, I'm sure there was something. There's usually one thing that I'm like genuinely jazzed about, and there was just nothing here, with the exception of Mini Tank, that I really think is like something I like really need or even want to own. So maybe that's the take. That it's just a year of status quo and
Ben,
delivering.
You sure you don't want to get the Deep Sea?
It
It looked great on you.
Yacht
I
Rock
appreciate that.
Ben.
I actually felt it did kind of look
it
okay.
did.
on me. James was giving me the shrug. Yeah. Okay.
Did it though?
I think.
I think it did.
Asking for the mic for the did it though.
That's a boss move. No, I'm
I'm
good
in.
on that. I'm good on that one. Let's go.
Danny, spicy takes.
I mean, I think everyone here knows I'm not on the Black Bay 58 GMT train this year. It just is. I like the idea of it. Execution wasn't for me, and I think it's not really spicy. But it just seems like every year everyone jumps on the same watch and feels the same exact way about it. And I look forward to seeing other iterations of that watch. Would be my quote unquote spicy take. It's not. It didn't get me a little excited, Tony.
James, anything you want to say about the GMT? I mean, I know you wrote it up today. Anything you want to add? Tell Danny that he's being an idiot.
I don't really have that much to add when it comes to like a consideration of the watch as it's in the hands-on. Check it out on the site if you're keen. I think it. I certainly like to make a certain, sort of mental effort to try and predict and plan and see where Tudor's going with stuff, because they, there's a pattern to the way that they typically operate. I think it's a good watch. I think that it underlines what has happened at the show this year, especially in the contrast of last year, where this year really feels like the market isn't necessarily in the same place, and the response to that is maybe we sold all of a certain type of watch to a certain type of buyer last year, and the patient buyers are getting slightly more refined, slightly different colorways, like maybe a more like maybe more commercial and less hype-driven cycle for the product, which I think Tudor's part of, but certainly not alone. I think we saw this from most brands.
Malika, anything you want to say that's particularly spicy?
What do you think?
Probably. This is
actually-
why I had you on the show, Malika.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sorry, I mainly here
Come on.
to be controversial. I didn't have a spicy take, except for the fact that I still didn't understand green dials.
We talked about the green dials yesterday. We're not double dipping on the green dials.
Sorry. That's it.
Listen, before we get to our next and perhaps our last category, everyone, I want to talk a little bit about Lucid Motors Studio, because that's where we're recording here in Geneva. You can step into the future with Lucid Air, where extraordinary performance meets exquisite craftsmanship. At Lucid Motors, we're redefining the electric vehicle, combining exceptional range with sophisticated design, all while prioritizing sustainability. Every Lucid Air reflects our passion for excellence, from its serene cabin made with eco-friendly materials to its aerodynamic, elegant exterior. Feel the difference with Lucid Motors. Learn more at lucidmotors.com or come on by the Lucid Studio here in Geneva, as we've been doing all week. And everyone, we've got one more category. We're going to go right on down the line. Ben, this great idea was pitched to me by someone, and I thought it'd be a great idea to ask everyone one watch that they could buy from the show. Money is no object. Limited edition is no object. Accessibility is no object. Pick one watch. I've got mine in mind. It doesn't have to be at Watches and Wonders, by the way. I think it can be just globally anything you saw in Geneva this week. I've got mine if you all want a second to think.
Why don't you go first, Tom?
Yeah, yesterday I took some time to go to the Beau Rivage. One of the folks I met with was Sylvain Berneron, who is making the Berneron Mirage. It's something I wrote up last year. He's an independent designer. He worked for Breitling for a long time, but he's doing his own watch now. And it's kind of this beautiful mashup of a Patek Calatrava with a sector dial and kind of a Cartier crash, but it feels totally unique. It's a shape movement, which we made a big deal about the Tortoise shaped chronograph movement. It's the exact same thing here. It's 2.3 millimeters, and it's a gold movement. It's just absolutely beautiful, and he's starting to deliver them in about a month. So I've been following his journey for, I don't know, like 2 years now. It was cool to see a working prototype in person. Going down the line, Malika?
I would say I really enjoyed the Chopard appointment today. Really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the variety because it was like, oh, cool open work titanium Alpine Eagle, but also here are some diamonds, which just works perfectly for me. I think I would do this. It's such a ridiculous watch. It's a high jewelry Chopard set in like crazy sapphires and diamonds that's price upon request. I would take that.
Yeah, in a cruel twist of fate, I went to Frank Miller this afternoon instead of being able to attend the show part appointment. I could take an entire episode to talk about Frank Miller because it was an amazing experience, and I would love to go back again and visit Watchland. All this to say, Ben, what's your pick?
Wait, hold on. Is it the Alpine Eagle that you saw with it that was fully with?
No,
That was a
high jewelry watch.
that was it. Sorry, this is getting quite hard, isn't it? It was a high jewelry watch.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Ben?
So, I mean, the obvious answer would be Yellow Gold Le Mans, which I still have not seen for the record. But that's a little bit too easy and just like not that fun. So weirdly, it's also a show part. They got to show us some stuff that I don't know is like officially out there in any way. But for I think their 25th anniversary of LUC or something, they made 10 yellow gold 36 millimeter flying tourbillons with a yellow gold dial. With an officer case back with the old style where you have to kind of like dig your nail in to pop it out. It doesn't release with the crown. That I'd never seen before, never even heard of it. They made 10 of them. I think there's 1 or 2 left. That was a really neat thing just to see a 36 millimeter dress watch with a flying tourbillon. That was, I would take that home. You know, money be damned for sure. But Yellow Gold Le Mans would be cool. Still need to see that. If any of you guys buy that watch, give me a shout. I need to see it.
Danny?
It's the Bulgari for me. The Bulgari Octo Finissimo Ultra. Seriously, it's like if the prompt is all the money in the world, that's not a small amount of money, and that's what I would spend it on. I think that was just such a. The reason I say this is because I said this on the pod earlier, but we James and I were shown just how sort of tough and wearable that watch actually is. Like someone handled that watch in a way we never would, just to show us that you could, and so I'd feel the sense of security that my $500,000+ is going to have a watch that I could actually wear every day.
Actually, the Longa, the Datograph Perpetual Lumen too. I would buy that if I could afford that.
Oh,
I'd also buy
Stealing my picks, Ben.
Sorry, Mark. Yeah.
the rose gold day date that I've talked about also on the pod.
Yeah.
James?
Well, I was also considering Chopard on this list and the Ultra, so I'm going to move on. I actually had a lot of favorites when it comes to like fairly expensive watches that I'll never own. The other one that really stood out for me, especially, maybe it's a cultural thing with the strap, but the 5330 World Timer, I really like. I
The cultural thing.
It took a second to land there.
For those, if I whiffed that joke for some of you, it's on a denim strap. I'm Canadian.
That's the joke.
I think I still have like a pretty strong preference towards the 5935 that came out a little while ago. Steel with the chronograph, very cool. But I just have such an endearing kind of endless fondness for Patek World Times, and this isn't a Cartier style World Timer, but it does have this very clever kind of solution, a mechanical solution for factoring for the date line of the local time displayed on the watch, which if you've had your hands on a few World Timers, that can be an issue if you're traveling a ton. And I just think it's a really, really cool piece. I was happy to see it. I like a light blue dial. I feel like this list could be very long. Just the tenor of this show is a lot of commercial product that we spoke about, and then these really big sort of banner releases, and a lot of them have these giant kind of price tags.
Mark, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I started the week early Sunday morning with Recep Recepi with the CC2 with the ruby set dial and rose gold. I feel like that's kind of a cop out because you can't really get that. The list is years and years and years and years of people. So I think I was going to pick the Datograph Perpetual Tourbillon Lumen in honey gold and yelled at Ben for stealing that one. But then I thought about it more, and I will say the salmon dial Patek inline perpetual calendar was really, really cool. 5236p. Really cool. Spent some time photographing that yesterday. I've seen a couple of their original pocket watches in person, and I think like that's a really great callback and something that maybe people had tried to do, but I don't think anybody really thought super hard about it. And Patek was like, well, we've done it before. We'll do it again, and we're going to make it great. So I would take that. No problem.
Jonathan, close us out.
Here we go. The joys of going last. I've amended my list about 6 or 7 times. So normally my MO, and especially of lately, has been old and gold. Old watches, gold watches. That's really been on my mind. So first came to mind was not anything from Cartier, but most anything from Cartier. They had the Panthère, the large size Panthère, and then the very, very small tank. But if money's no object, honestly, is a year old, maybe 2 years old now that I saw the Grunfeld chronograph this morning for the first time, and watching it work and watching the movement and the way the chronograph, after it's running and when you reset it, it slowly goes back to zero. That watchmaking was so impressive and something I'd never experienced before in person, and really kind of blew me away. That type of watch, like high watchmaking like that, has not really been my thing because I've never experienced it like this before. But now I've got a little taste of it, and there's a whole new world, as they say.
Yeah, it's funny. I said something very similar on the show last year after I saw the chronograph for the first time.
I think we got to get Jonathan on the pod more.
Yeah, seriously.
I agree. Second.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
Thank you
Very
so much.
poetic.
Beautifully said. Well, guys, that's going to kind of wrap up the watch discussion. But James and Danny, I think people have been seeing a lot of us in front of the camera on the site,
That's right, Tom.
on social throughout the entire week. But that's not the entire team here at Hodinkee this week. So I think you guys wanted to do one more thing to close out the show.
Yeah, Tone, that's right. You might see behind the camera, you can't see them actually, but we have Joe Wyatt, who's been filming all these podcasts, and he edits them and gets them up the same day for your listening and viewing pleasure. And then Jonathan McWhirter here on the end, as Tony put it earlier, or James put it, is doing 30 to 50 other media things that you've seen across Hodinkee during the show. And so we wanted to sort of celebrate these two guys by giving them a little something special. So just want to thank Joe and Jonathan. Joe, this is for you. I don't know if you can get up from the seat and come grab it, but thank you guys just for everything. These are Moonswatch Mission to the Moon Phase, the black Snoopy Moonswatch.
That is sick.
The hottest
You
watch
guys
in
are so
town.
sweet. I don't deserve this.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a round of applause for you.
Last time I'll be corrected.
Yeah.
You guys absolutely deserve it, and we just, as a whole team, wanted to say that we're exceptionally proud of both of you, and you made this week not just better, but possible. So a big thank you.
Hell yeah, Joe, we did it.
Well, everyone, that's going to wrap up the show. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to Jonathan. Thanks to all 7 of our panelists. And thanks to you all for listening all week long. And we'll be back again soon. But thank you for enjoying all of our coverage from Geneva.
Thanks, Tone.